Hey, it's Coach Jeremy here with Red Hawk Coaching. Hope you're having a great day. And I've got a special guest this week, Clint Muhlenberg. He's the founder and CEO of Level Virtual Specialists. Welcome.
Hey, thanks, Jeremy.
So I'm really excited about our conversation today. Clint, one of the great things is just knowing that you're an Aggie. That when I interview people, that's the first question I ask, and that's you got through. And so really excited about that. Having ties to a former brokerage that I work with, and being a part of a top team. And what got you started with? I know that was kind of the beginning of your company. Tell me the story there.
Yeah, so I actually got started in real estate. I actually came previously from school bus transportation. So not a related industry, but I was running operations for a school bus company, the second largest in the US. And they basically had me going from location to location, fixing any issues or problems they had for anywhere from 1 day to 1 year. They didn't really give me much advice, just, hey, go fix this issue. And that's what I love. So started interviewing with a pretty large Keller Williams team, went through the whole 5-week interview process, ended up turning down that opportunity. But in the true spirit, they connected me with another team. They said, hey, this team might be a great fit for you. So I talked with them. The CEO basically said all the things that he had going on, all the things he wanted to go on, all the things he had going on with other businesses, and basically, hey, what do you think? I love that. It sounded chaotic. It sounded hectic. I've actually never had a job that had a job description beforehand. I love going into that type of business. So started working with him. Basically, started off as the operations manager of real estate, moved into a chief of staff role over all the businesses, and eventually left as the VP of finance and administration a few years later. After that, decided, hey, I really wanted to go out there and start helping other businesses, specifically in real estate. And so I started consulting. And the biggest thing I saw when I was consulting was people really needed to make a hire. Truly and honestly, their biggest need was to go out and hire somebody, whether they wanted to admit it or not. So I'd always suggest that to people. And a lot of times people, for one reason or another, would say no. So I'd suggest them, why don't you hire somebody from the Philippines? And I usually got 2 responses from that. The one is, well, I've tried that and it didn't work out. And the second one was, I don't know how to do that. Well, the first response never made sense to me. It's like an agent or a rainmaker saying, well, I've hired a buyer's agent before and they didn't work out, so I'm not going to hire a buyer's agent again. So basically, I just said, hey, let me help you. I've had a lot of experience. I've hired through every company out there, and I've also done it on my own. And I do things a little differently. Do you mind if I help you? So we started doing that just a couple of years ago, back in 2018. And in the past just almost 2.5 years now, we've already gone from 0 to over 100 people working with us.
That's awesome. And being a coach and having conversations, I've worked with agents brand new to the business. I've worked with teams that do over $100 million a year in closed volume. And that's usually the conversation at some point. And it's usually a lot earlier than most agents expect is, that leverage piece. And that's what we're going to dive into today is how this creates leverage and allows the agent or small business owner, because I know you don't focus just on real estate, to be able to go out and take their business to that next level, because you and I both know the administrative piece of the business can be overwhelming. It can sink you, and there's only one of you. So finding that leverage piece, I'm really excited about diving into this. And the first question I have for you is, what is a virtual assistant? Sometimes we think that we make the assumption that we know exactly what that is, and what do they do?
Yeah, so the term virtual assistant has gotten completely skewed, in my opinion, over many years. A lot of times people are coached or taught or have heard through the grapevine, hey, there are some people you can hire for $2 an hour and they'll do anything and everything you want them to do. And they're great. They'll transform your business. That's just not true. And expecting that is wishing, What it means to me is I just break it down. Virtual is the opposite of physical. And that just means that they're remote. And as far as assistant goes, to me, that just means that they're an employee or team member. So I think of a virtual assistant as somebody that works down the street from home from me. In our case, because they're in the Philippines, it just happens to be a really long road. So when you ask what can they do, you really need to be thinking, what do I need to hire for? Because you don't hire for stuff on your plate. As my friend David Breckheimer, who's on this, would say, stuff on a plate does not go on a business card. So when you think about hiring, you think of, hey, what do I need to hire for? What role? And you get really clear on that. Having clarity on the role is what leverage is all about. Because Jeremy, if you're just looking at all the stuff that you need to get done and some of the stuff you need help with, then you're going to be hiring. And then eventually what's going to happen is you're going to start passing things over to somebody, passing things over. And then one day you're going to be looking around going, what else? Well, I got to do this project, but it's going to take me an hour to teach them. I might as well do that myself. What else then? I don't really know. That's not leverage. Giving somebody a piece of your business to own and make it their own, that's the way to go. So ultimately, when you hire anybody, regardless if they're local, domestic, or overseas, make a true hire. Fill a role and hire to that and give them that piece of that business.
Yeah, and I want to pull something out of that because I know we had a couple of conversations leading up to this, and it was interesting. I found is there's a lot of companies out there that offer what they call a virtual assistant, and I heard something very important there is hiring for a role. And there's a lot of companies out there that just say, "Hey, we have this person that's already trained. These are the systems that they already have," and they just try to plug that together with the business owner, and it typically doesn't work the way that it should. Can you dive and peel the onion back a little bit on that as far as the role part?
Yeah, absolutely. So kind of what you just said, I mean, I've worked in real estate now for over 6 years, and even my family has been in real estate for my entire life. So I've known a lot of realtors, a lot of agents, a lot of brokerages, a lot of everything. What I can tell you is everybody does the same thing and everybody does it differently. So Jeremy, if I were to say, hey, I've got this person that's great, they're already trained, ready to go, I don't know anything about your business. So anything I'm going to provide to you would be super generic and not really what exactly you need. So the people that kind of give up on just saying, oh, I'm going to create a job description, a role, and everything else are going to get exactly what they're looking for. They're going to get somebody quick, but they're not going to be the best fit for that role. And secondly, a lot of times you'll hear of the term general virtual assistant or somebody that just hires a virtual assistant without actually defining the role. I prefer the term generic. And to me, that's a jack of all trades. Now, I mean, Jeremy, you wouldn't hire the same person to do your transaction coordination, your bookkeeping, your marketing, your sales calls. You wouldn't hire the same person to do all that because that's multiple different skills and multiple different personality types. I mean, even if you look at the disc, there's not one fit that matches all of those things. So when people try to do that or think that they could do that and then try to do it for the cheapest amount possible, they're setting themselves up for failure, just right then and there.
Yeah, it's not gonna work out very well. They might be able to do it or get by or be average. And that's not what most people are looking to hire. They're looking at hiring that leverage to grow. And so getting them specified to a particular role, I think is really, really important. How do you go about hiring? So when you meet with somebody and they say, you know what, I need leverage, and you get to the conversation of defining the role, what steps happen after that?
Yeah, so for us, I mean, it's really all about determining that role. If we can't determine the role with a client, that's all we'll talk about is just continue talking about that role. We don't actually have a sales team here. We just have consultants. We only want to help people in any way that we can, whether that's with us or giving them our advice to go do something different. Sometimes we let people know, hey, you should hire a physical in-house person. You should go hire this other company. You should leverage technology. You should get a coach. We do that one a lot. And so after we kind of define all of that, what we're actually going to go out there to do, we don't ever have anybody sitting in the back room waiting to get hired. And that's what a lot of companies have brought up the impression of. Some companies do that, where they basically will take anybody, they'll put them in a boot camp training. The max company out there will trade for a total of 2 weeks, and that's not even full-time days. 2 weeks of trading at a max, and then say this person's qualified to run this role. It's not enough in my opinion. So we actually go out there and specifically recruit people that have experience, that have done that job already, not just been trained on it, so they know what they're getting into. We handle the reference checks, the background checks, doing interviews, and then we bring a couple of them together to interview with our clients. So we schedule interviews just like this over Zoom. Member of our recruiting team's on there. The recruiter is actually a true team member, Jeremy. So if they're with you, they're going to be interviewing that person as if they were part of your team to really get a good feel. And then, of course, they answer any questions about previous interviews, background checks, anything like that. So once we get those two people connected, we actually start nurturing that relationship. We have a full, huge dedicated support team that literally checks in with both client and the virtual assistant to make sure both of them are super happy, because we feel this needs to be a win-win-win relationship. It has to be on all sides, otherwise it doesn't work.
Yeah, so like a lot of times agents, when I'm consulting with them and talking about their business, and we talk about the conversation database, and how to manage that, how to get the contacts in there, how to set them up in groups, how to put them on the drip campaigns. None of the stuff, by the way, that helps them really truly make dollars, right? So that's kind of a nurturing part of the administrative part of their business. So somebody comes to you and says, "Hey, Clint, I need help with that." You would go out and your company would take the role after defining the role and finding that person. That wouldn't be the responsibility of the agent. Y'all take care and handle all of that, correct?
Correct. Yeah, we take probably about 90 to 95% of the entire hiring process off of the agent or the client. Really, the only need for them is after our initial call, we ask for them to block out 2 hours for those interviews. We rarely use the entire amount, but we always ask for the extra amount so we can chat, and that's it. The rest, 20, 40, 60 hours of work is all on us.
Yeah, and I think that's probably, and correct me if I'm wrong, that's probably one of the biggest stumbling blocks for making the hire, is being able to slow down enough to take the time to make the hire.
100%. And, we have experienced recruiters. This is all they do all day, every day. They've been recruiters for, I think a combined over 20 something years at this point. And so they're really experienced. I mean, the average agent, team owner, anything else recruits once, maybe twice a year. And then when you recruit, virtual assistants don't follow, typically when you recruit a virtual assistant, you're not following the same process you do otherwise. You kind of just hire through a grapevine, you hire, a friend of a friend, you hire somebody that you know over there, and they hire somebody with no process. They're hiring their friend, their cousin. But when we do it, we're actually going through a rigorous process. We're not just going through and saying, hey, there's 3 people and we found them. No, we're typically going just for those 3 people through 100 to 150 people just to find the right fits for your company.
Yeah, I've generally seen when somebody's hired a friend or a family, that typically doesn't end very well. They're not hiring for the specific role and hiring the best for that role, right?
Yeah, it's typically, hey, does anybody want a great virtual assistant? And you'll see that somebody posts that on Facebook with 30 comments of like, I'm interested. I'm like, what role are they filling? Why would you want that person if you know nothing about them other than somebody said they're great? You need to know what they do, what they can do, what they're going to do for your business. You don't just hire somebody without that type of information.
So before somebody contacts you, it'd probably be good to just sit down, take some time and plan what they visualize as that role, or what are they specifically needing to fill. And then that way, when they get on the call with you or one of your team members, you're able to have a conversation that's going to equate to a great result.
Yeah, I mean, the whole call is all about figuring out that role and what's good for them and their business. I mean, our entire process and everything we charge and everything like that, we're very transparent and open about. It's all on our website. We answer every single question. We don't care if competitors see it because they can't do what we do. So the best thing I'd say is go through the same exercise I do. And I do this exercise once a quarter. And Jeremy, you've probably heard of a very similar version of this multiple times. I brain dump every single thing I've done in the past 3 weeks and everything I'm not currently getting done that needs to be getting done. So of the stuff I do, I take a look at it and go, what needs to be done by me versus which one of these did not need to be done by me. Funny thing is, every single time I do this, 20% me, 80% not me. What I really do after that is start looking at trends. Are there things that can be grouped together? Is there something I can leverage off my plate that doesn't need to be done at all? Is there something that can be leveraged to technology? Can I invest a little bit of money in automating this process, which we've done quite a bit. I mean, we automated the process probably early last year that used to take us 10, 20 hours a month. We spent a couple $100 to automate it. Now it takes us about 30 minutes. So can I leverage technology? And then if I'm looking at the other big groupings going, is there a role here? Do I need to make this higher? Is somebody on my team that can handle this, or does this need to be a hire? And that's when I determine, okay, there's need for another person in my business. and then start looking, of course, at the budget and everything else, talking to your coach to make sure, hey, that's the right move for me right now.
Yeah, but Clint, I can do it so much better. Do you hear that? They don't want to let it go, right?
Yeah, no, there's always the common misconception that it has to be done by me. I mean, here's the thing: when it comes to leverage, if somebody can do it 80% as good as you, will your client, will the public, will anybody even know that it was 80%? Is 80% good enough? By the way, if 80% is not good enough, Jeremy, that means you only have to do 20%. Now you just leverage 80% off your plate, and then all you have to do is polish off whatever it is.
Yeah, that's probably the first one is taking the time to slow down to hire. The second one is, realizing when do you need the hire? Usually they hire too late, instead of getting ahead of it. Have you found that to be true? They come to you and they're like, I need the life raft right now, and they should have really been doing that, a few months in advance.
Yeah, that's probably one of the things we get the most often is they wait until they're so super busy that they now need help yesterday. And I'll tell you, the beginning of the year is the best time to start hiring. Hiring is a process; it takes time. We can't just hire somebody on for you to start working the next day and be proficient in everything you do. Even once you hire, you have to have time to invest to train that person. If you're not going to train them, then they're not going to be successful. One of the simplest things I always say is input equals output. What you put into them is going to be what you get from them. You can't expect them to come in and be a rock star on day one without you leading them to be that rock star. So if you're looking to hire, I would say, man, the best time to do it would be probably 2 months before you think you need to, at minimum, quite honestly. A lot of people worry because, oh my goodness, they don't want to hire in winter because or beginning of year because business hasn't picked up yet. It'll start to pick up in spring and summer. Well, this year and last year excluded, of course. But that's too late. It's too late to hire after that. You hire at the beginning, you're going to get a really good, the job market's going to be open for people. People are going to be looking for jobs at the beginning of the year. You're just going to get better quality people. When it starts getting, to the point where you're looking to hire, everyone else is too. It's kind of like the real estate market right now. Everybody's looking to buy. There's very low inventory. People are going to take the best offers they can get. Same thing with recruiting. There are people out there that are really good and really talented that are hopping for the better opportunity right now. So if you're trying to wait to hire, it might already be too late.
So I'm an agent and I'm getting to that place where, I know 2 or 3 months I need somebody, I need help. What is the difference between hiring virtual and hiring in-house, and what are the pros and the cons?
Yeah. So, obviously, if you hire somebody virtual, Jeremy, they're not going to be able to give you a high five. They can't shake your hand. There are people that need that extra work in the office, somebody that has to help fix the copy or the printer. More accurately, somebody that needs to do signs or lock boxes or something like that, where they don't have an extra person or anybody they can count on in their area to do that type of work for them. So oftentimes they need that. When you hire somebody remotely, the key word I always use is intentional. You have to be more intentional. I truly think that hiring somebody remotely is better for the purposes of training and communication because of being intentional. Jeremy, if I was going to teach you on something, we'd hop on a Zoom. I would be very clear about when we're hopping on the Zoom, what we're teaching, what we're going through, and I would go through that whole process with you, explaining what I'm doing and most importantly, why I'm doing it. When you have somebody sitting right next to you, it's easy just to turn to your side and say, hey, let me show you how to do this really quickly. And for some people, that's the right thing. If I'm a super high D rainmaker and I'm running around town and I never sit down on my computer, I don't have time to train. I'll use that in air quotes just because I don't truly believe that for anybody. If I don't have time, then the right fit might be somebody that can sit right next to you, somebody that you're just literally off the cuff training. Now, it's going to be a long training process by doing that. And by longer, I mean, it's going to be more challenging because you're not setting up the intention to bring them up to speed. They're learning by how you act, how you think, how you talk, how you speak, and how you just do things versus, hey, let me train you on this. Okay, now this is yours. Take it over and run with it.
I love that. The word intention. That's actually my word this year for my business. And if you don't do anything, if you don't do everything with intention, you're not going to get very far. And so love that you shared that. I want to hire somebody. but I don't understand. I know you work with the Philippines. I don't understand international taxes, all those other things. How does that work? Do I need to worry about that when I work with your company?
When you work with us, no. We are actually hiring a US based company that will also have a company in the Philippines. So you're paying us just like you pay Netflix. So you don't have to actually worry about the taxes, the legal implications, anything else like that. When you hire somebody directly, there are a lot of legal and tax risks that you take. And most CPAs do not know the proper way to classify and handle those types of things, those types of expenses, those types of, the IRS doesn't like you seeing your money go across the seas without any sort of paperwork or paper trail. When we started, I think we interviewed half a dozen to a dozen CPAs until I found one that said, "Oh yes, I do know what's going on." Everybody else is like, "No, there's nothing really for me to worry about." I knew that there was. I've been doing this for years now. So when you hire through us, no, there's no extra taxes things. We actually include it in the monthly service costs. So you don't have to worry about any of that at the end of the year.
Okay, great. Well, yeah, I think it's an awesome opportunity. I guess one other question to ask you before we open it up to, we got a couple people on here, is with COVID happening, and you're seeing a lot of teams that are out there. I know teams that they're all split up. They're all at home, or some are working in the office. There's already been this move to create a business that's in a more virtual environment. Are you seeing that? And how does that play out as we keep moving into the future with looking at hiring a virtual specialist versus in-house? How do you see that playing out as a result of COVID?
Personally, I think that the people that have been forced to move to work from home or have their staff work from home are starting to realize, hey, there's not a lot of stuff that really needs to be done in the office, and we can work from home and work remotely. There are people I know that say, hey, I'm the type of person that I need to have that person next to me at least once a week, something like that. So I'd say for a lot of people, they're realizing, hey, if they can be working from home, why does it matter where they work from? I think it's pretty obvious. I work from home as well. So when you're thinking about hiring, it's okay. Well, if they're working from home anyway, does it matter where they work from? Sometimes yes. I mean, for just the purpose of state employment laws, country employment laws. If you hire somebody from a different state, you have to comply with that state's HR laws. Somebody from a different country, you have to comply with that country's employment laws, including province or region or state. So, am I going to see a big change? I think we've already started to see it. Right now we've had a tremendous uptick since April of people hiring.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things that was already happening over the last few years. I know you were on one of the largest teams with a brokerage, the expansion team, and a lot of those people were already moving that direction anyways. I think what COVID did was just speed up that process. And
Yeah, I agree. I think just on the administrative side, we probably had, oh goodness, probably about 8 to 10 people that were actually in office. So we had multiple different offices, so everybody was kind of working remote as is. And then, we had, I can't tell you, 20, 30 different remote people across the US and across the country or across the world.
yeah, awesome. Well, thank you for that information. I want to open it up I know we only have a couple people here. We've got Anna from San Antonio, and we've got Carol. Carol's actually a client of yours now.
Yeah, hey, Carol.
Do y'all have any questions or anything that you might want to add to this?
I'm sorry, I was late. I had another meeting before this one, but I'm excited to start working with Clint. Those of you that don't work with Clint, today is actually the start of my interviewing process. He's got some candidates for me, and I'm excited about that. But I'm so impressed with your onboarding process, Clint, and the way you've made I'm working with Pons, one of your staff, and the way she's made herself available to me for all my uninformed, uneducated questions about how does this work and what should I look for and fabulous. So I'm excited to interview and find that right fit for me and my company and what I'm looking for.
That's so awesome. Thanks, Carol. I'm going to actually share that feedback with Pons. I know she'll really appreciate it.
Okay, please do. Yeah, she's been great.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah, so Carol's a transaction coordinator, and Clint, could you share a little bit about that? I know that a majority of your business is real estate. What other businesses are you helping as well?
Yeah, so I'd say probably 70, 80% are real estate or real estate support related. And that can be, real estate teams, real estate brokerages, real estate agents, transaction coordination companies that are independent. We've got mortgage, we've got title, we've got insurance. I mean, we've got property inspectors. Oh my goodness, I can't think of, all the ones that we have in real estate. We have a ton. But we also have a lot of people that are outside of real estate. So we've got e-learning. E-learning is a big thing right now with a lot of students learning from home. A lot of teachers need the support of other services and products. So we have a lot of e-learning. I mean, goodness, we've had the gambit. We've had nonprofits. We've even had a pool company. So we really cater to the masses. The thing is we don't cater to every single role. So we define our roles very specifically. We hire mostly, and I'd say probably 90% of people that we hire for are administrative related. So that's going to be your back-end people, administrative assistants, transaction coordinators, assistant transaction coordinators, executive assistants, all the people that are handling administrative roles. We also handle some marketing roles as well as some operational roles.
Great. So Clint, if somebody has an interest in learning more about your business, what's the best way to reach out to y'all?
Goodness. So, I mean, as I said, everything we have and very transparently is on our website, which is asklevel.com. Of course, I love to chat with people too. So feel free to email me, clint@asklevel.com. I mean, Carol, I think you can say we had probably a pretty good conversation the first time that we actually chatted. And I mean, we chatted multiple times before we actually brought you on to get this hire.
I have a question. As far as like turnover, I know as you grow, you have to constantly add to your, your pool, but those that come on with you, is there much of a turnover with you, or are they pretty long standing employees?
Yeah. That's a great question. So everything that we've always done has been for the long term. So anybody that we bring into our organization, whether that's a client or a virtual assistant, we are looking for somebody long term. We actually don't bring on any clients that are saying, I need help with a project. I need minimal help for a couple weeks, couple months. We actually don't bring those people on because that's not what our business model is. We're looking for people that are looking for long-term professional relationships. So our turnover is really low. We have a very rigorous recruiting process. And then what we do afterwards is we're supporting both parties so extensively that neither of them actually need to leave because we're always helping. On the employee side, we do a lot of stuff to make this like working in any other place. We offer people paid time off, holidays, bonuses. We offer medical insurance. We actually just unleash medical insurance to our people that is not just for them, but also for one of their dependents, whether that's a spouse, a child, or a parent otherwise. And that's at no cost to them. We want them to have the best place for them to grow and develop and to have a long-term stable career. So we're going to do everything on our behalf to make that happen for our clients.
Happy employees.
I
have to commend you for, I would have been those one project person. As you know, I said I have a lot of projects to get done. And if you'd let me gone that route, I would have done that. And I commend you for kind of like being firm about that. This is what we have to offer as far as, part-time, full-time, not project-based, long-term, because it will help. It'll help me grow things in a better way than if I'm just still jumping around, which is what I'm doing now, which is why I need your help.
Yeah, I'm glad you heeded that advice, Carol, just because I knew, that if you had gone elsewhere or done that type of hiring, if I had talked to you after that, you would have said to me the same thing I hear. I've tried that before. It didn't work out. I'm not doing it again. And what I really, truly wanted for you was long-term leverage.
And your client base is, being a transaction coordinating industry. I don't know about the real estate, the agent part that you work with, but I see some people working with you in my industry who I respect so well and who I've seen grow and grow and grow their businesses. And that's such a testimony to you that, if you want to grow, I mean, it's kind of like I had to be told that. And I tell my agents that all the time, but I didn't heed that advice. If you want to grow, you need to take this off your plate and let us do it. And, you know, it's that mindset. I'm preaching to the choir, and it was time to do something, but it truly is through your client base that gave you so much credibility with me. And that just speaks for itself. And I don't think everybody knows that about you, that like on the TC side, y'all, he's working with the biggies, the big power people that know how to build a business and know how to take care of their realtors.
I appreciate that. Thank you, Carol.
That's awesome. We had a question from David, and I think you were touching on this. It was, Clint, could you talk a little bit about how Level provides benefits to the VAs after 6 months? So you were talking about the insurance and things like that. Is that the benefits that the VAs receive?
Yeah, so I mean, there's benefits they start receiving on day one. I mean, we offer they're going to get guaranteed to get paid. I hate saying that as a benefit. There's a lot of people that get hired in the Philippines that, you know, their employer will just either say, we don't need you anymore. They will stop talking to them. They'll ghost them, or they'll say, I didn't like the work they did, and they won't pay them for the work that they did. You would never, ever dream of doing that to somebody here in the US, that somebody you hired that sits down the street, you know, that works down the road from you. You'd never do that to them. So that's one of the big things, is we make sure they get paid. We offer a better exchange rate than you could get anywhere else. You know, a lot of people pay with services like PayPal or TransferWise. Those have fees, and those have worse exchange rates. We don't charge fees. We give them the 100%, and they actually get a higher exchange rate. The exchange rate is so much higher that's equivalent to about 8 extra paid days a year. So that's like 8 extra paid time off. They have a total of 17 paid days off a year with holidays and personal days. We give guaranteed increases. They have job security. So if they get terminated at no fault of their own, it's not a performance-based issue. We actually help them find their next job. And we had to do a lot of that back in March of last year when COVID hit, and a lot of people started making those preliminary terminations, worrying about what business would happen. We stopped recruiting. We stopped bringing on new clients, and we said, we're going to help these people find their jobs. We had about probably 20, 30 people that we helped find their next roles. Half of those people, we actually helped them find a role with another company, just so they would keep having that income. We have an employee hardship fund. We also opened up and poured into during COVID, and gave money to every single one of our people so that they could continue being what was now the breadwinner of their family, because their entire family couldn't go to work because they got quarantined the country got quarantined to stay at home. And then, yes, as David mentioned, after 6 months, we also do offer that medical insurance to every single person. And it's not a stipend. It's not a, you know, here's a little bit extra money. No, it's actually full medical insurance, company provided. Jeremy, it's the same as if you were to go and provide, you know, company insurance to employees here. It's that quality of medical insurance. It's not the same type that you go and buy yourself.
That's amazing, because I've heard stories about some of the other companies that where some of the things that you just shared did happen, and you know, tell me a little bit, and we'll end with this. Tell me a little bit about the culture of your company.
I mean, we really believe in a collaborative culture of people that are looking to make long-term lasting impacts. We have our support system. We both have a support team and a back-end support network. So everyone that we work with, every single virtual assistant, is actually connected with each other to work together. Now, they work with different teams and different businesses, different companies, but because we hire for so many of the same roles, they get connected to those people. So now, you know, instead of having to go ask their client, their boss, hey, you know, what's going on with this program? How do we do this? How do we do that? They can actually ask members of their community. Carol, I know you're part of the TC community. There's a lot of people in there that are willing to help and support you, even though you're not part of their business. They have different things, you know, going on in their lives, and they still want to help you. We feel the exact same way, so we've made that community for them. And really, we're trying to foster a culture of, hey, it's not hard. It's not rocket science. Treat people well. So Jeremy, our secret sauce isn't that secret. We focused on how can we make the employee experience the best thing possible, because happy employees make for happier clients. That's it.
Awesome. I love that. Well, Clint, thank you for taking the time today. And I'm going to drop this video later. I'll include also your contact information. So if you have additional questions about how you can make a virtual assistant part of your business, reach out to Clint and his team, and I know you'll be really happy. everything that I've heard, both from my coaching clients that are engaging with Clint and just the conversations that I've had with Clint over the last few weeks, I know you'll be in good hands. So thank you again, Clint.
I appreciate it. Thanks, Jeremy.
All right. Thank you.